Hey, my name is Ken, and today I'm going to be doing a quick little review on the TKC 70ROX. I've spent over a year traveling through Latin America on my CB500X. I got about 70,000 kilometers on the bike. Most of that is on the TKC 80s. So I had a small problem with one of the TKC 80s. There was an injection molding issue from the factory. Shout out to continental Ecuador. They hooked me up with a TKC 70ROX. They didn't have a TKC 80, so they gave me this. I'd been curious about the tire. I've heard about it. Wasn't sure if I was gonna pay for that over TKC 80. So they gave me the option to try it, and I'm gonna tell you what I think about it. So the TKC 70ROX is billed as a 60-40, so a 60% on-road, 40% off-road, as opposed to the TKC 80, which is, it's either a 50-50 or 40-60, I'm not sure. But the main point of this tire is to have a tire that will be able to take you anywhere and have significantly longer life, or at least longer life than the TKC 80, which that's the notorious drawback with the TKC 80s, is they just don't last very long. So in my experience, the off-road grip of the TKC 70ROX here, got so much salt on it at the moment, it's completely adequate for off-road stuff. It does give me a little bit more wheel spin than the TKC 80, but it grips adequately, no problems really. On road, it grips quite well as well. The one thing that I found really surprising was there's a lot more noise that comes out of this tire on my bike than the TKC 80, which has a reputation for being quite a noisy tire. I found this one quite a bit noisier. So for a tire that the whole point of it is to have longer lasting life than the TKC 80s, initially I wasn't really that impressed. It seemed to be wearing just as much as my TKC 80s did. As it gets down to the bottom here, it is wearing quite a bit slower, but it's developed some uneven wear where it's really worn in the middle. This has quite a bit of life on it, and then the edges here are worn down a little bit more, so it's kind of uneven, and you go into corners and stuff. I don't know how good that is, but I will say that at the end it is lasting me longer than I would have thought. The TKC 80s, I would get maybe 8,000 kilometers on I have a light bike, it's a CB500X. I get maybe 8,000 kilometers on it. I think I pushed it to 10 or 11 one time, but it was completely done. I have about 8,500 on this right now, and there's still a bit of life left on it. And I need to make it to at least 11,000. So it does wear a little bit better than the TKC 80, although I don't know by how much. So I will say, and I don't think it's a fault of the tire, but it's hard to know. I've never fallen on pavement until I had this tire on, and I was going around the road, and in fairness, there was some algae and stuff on the road, but the bike just gave out, flew out from underneath me, and before I even knew what was happening. So I don't really think it was the fault of the tire, but anecdotally and in my mind, I know that the only tire that's ever put me down on the road, or the only tire combined with my lack of skill, is the TKC 70ROX. Overall, it's not a bad tire. For me personally, for the money that it costs, and the tire noise, the longevity, everything, I think I would go with a TKC 80 again. If I was doing a significant amount of off-road, I'd do a TKC 80. If I wasn't doing a lot of off-road, I'd probably go for something with a little bit of a longer life. There's a couple tires that are out there. I haven't tried them, so I'm not going to recommend them, but I'm either going to go TKC 80 again or try one of the longer life lasting tires. So that's my review for the TKC 70ROX. Hope you found it helpful or interesting. All right, so quick addendum to my tire review here. I've done another 2,000 kilometers or so, and the tire's wearing very, very strangely. It's definitely, so I got about 10,000 kilometers on it. It's definitely lasts longer than the TKC 80, but I mean, I got all these little slits, I guess from rocks and stuff, but the tire's got all these cuts in it. Literally, I'll show you just on this section here, but it's all around the whole tire. Got all these little slits, I guess from rocks in between the tread blocks. The tread's also wearing really, really funny. Some of it's sort of coming apart, like the blocks are starting to shred. And then it's also got really, really weird wear where it's really, really high, and then the adjacent block is really, really low, so it's not great in corners. I still have another about 1,000 kilometers or so to go before I can get the tire replaced, and it's not overly confidence inspiring, all this, but what can you do? Hopefully that was helpful, and if any catastrophic failures occur, I will update this, and if not, that's my tire review.